Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Adams Brothers podcast. We're here this evening with cancer survivors here, and we have a panel of three guests here today, along with myself and my brother. One thing that we all have in common, that we are all cancer survivors, and we are here today to try and help educate the public about cancer and signs of cancer and what we went through today. So hopefully we could help educate the public. So I want to go ahead and introduce our panelists here. We have up top to the left, it may be your left, to my left at least, we have our beautiful cousin. Her name is Dr. Tawanda Davila Davis. And to the bottom of the screen there, we have our friend and classmate, friend, very, very dear friend,
yes,
Miss Angela Howard.
our lovely sister.
Our lovely sister. And our handsome cousin down at the bottom there, Mr. Tyrone Gonder. He's also joining us here. Happy to have everybody here this afternoon on the Adams Brothers podcast. So I know it's kind of late and we want to get on through this right here. So ladies first, always on this podcast here. So why don't we start with Dr. Tawanda Davila Davis, our cousin. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
I am Tawanda Davis. Some call me Pastor T. I'm pastor of Elevate Church Tallahassee. I retired from state government in 32 years. As I said, I was the training director for Florida, and I now work in our mayor's office, city commission, as the chief of staff for Commissioner Williams Cox. We just won a second term, so I'm happy about that. And I'm just glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you keep on doing that good work you putting in up there in Tallahassee, up in that area up there. All right, Angela, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and, whatever you want us to know about you, just go ahead and talk to us.
Good evening, everyone. I am Angela Howard. I work in medicine. Right now, working at a psychology center, working with psych patients and stuff like that. I also have my own Cancer Society nonprofit organization called Hands of an Angel Cancer Society. And what I do is I try to gear to cancer patients and also their caregivers to try and assist cancer patients and also their caregivers by assisting them with stuff like gas cards, flowers, any type of incentives to let them know that we care about them, spa days and stuff like that for the caregivers, treatments and stuff like that, so they can have a day off from taking care of the patients because they are, important too, and they need time off. It's very strenuous and very draining and stuff like that, taking care of the patients themselves too. So they also need care and they also need time off for themselves. So I try to gear to the patients and also the caregivers.
Good. Just keep on putting in that good work. We know what you do here. We're right down here with you and we see what you do, keep on doing what you're doing. And Tyrone, before you came on, when you popped on the screen here, we saw a doctor in front of your name, Dr. Tyrone Gonder.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about you as well. It's good that I didn't know that you were a doctor. So talk to me, man. Tell us about it.
I've worn that title for a while now. I'm actually an educator, longtime educator with a background in counseling. I'm also a licensed professional counselor. But currently I work in a high school as an administrator. And for over 30 years, I've been in this, what we call the helping field, where, that involves education, that involves counseling and therapy and helping families and children. And so that has been my background for, the last 30 years. So I'm just happy to be here, and peace and blessings to the audience here. And
right.
I'm just, encouraged by being here and looking forward to sharing my experience.
Well, thank you very much.
Military vet too,
and
right?
a military vet. Don't forget that.
Well, there's a whole list of things I could have added in there, but
Well, you have to put that out there, man. Thank you for your service to our country, man. We really appreciate what you've done for our country.
Absolutely.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Tawanda again up top there. One thing we all have in common is we all had cancer, and I said had cancer, and it's never going to come back again to attack us. The devil is never going to attack us again, with the exception of my brother Wayne here. And we hope and pray that he never has to go through that. But Tawanda, Angela, and Tyrone, we've all had cancer, and we are survivors. And I'd like to start with Tawanda. Just go ahead and tell us your experience with cancer and your faith. What helped you beat cancer, and just tell us the signs that you first noticed. Tell us everything. That your treatments, and did it make you sick? I'll just jump in as you go.
Well, oh my gosh, my story is so long because I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. The first one was over 10 years ago, was breast cancer, stage 1. And the second one was 4 years ago. It was a very rare cancer. It was called gastrointestinal stromal tumor. It was stage 4. And yes, the Lord brought me through both of them. With stage 1, my daughter was 7. I had my faith, absolutely, but I tell you, it's a difference, a whole different attitude from stage 1 to stage 4.
Yes.
The stage 1, I saw the glass half full and not empty at all, because it was breast cancer. I got this. I started my foundation. It's called the Cancer Knockout Foundation. We've been in existence now for over 10 years. Every year we do a survivors conference where we just feed hundreds of cancer survivors. We give caregiver scholarships and so forth. But stage 1, was, I went in fighting, but when stage 4 hit, they thought it was my pancreas. It was a whole different insight because I was very armed with information, because like I said, I was a training director for Social Security. Right. And that's all we did was read path reports, diagnoses. I was on that end of Social Security. And so it was a little bit different, but with that, God gave me a whole different perspective. He told me I was going to live. That is when he called me. I was already a minister, but that's when he called me out to actually pastor during that time. And I remember people saying, "You're going to pastor a church and you got stage 4 cancer." I was like, absolutely. I'm going to do whatever God told me to do at this stage in my life. And so I just celebrated another year of life, 58. I turned 58 last Wednesday. Somebody asked me,
God bless you.
What was my takeaway from my birthday? I said this, that every day above ground is a day of grace. And so I celebrate that. I just did a presentation to a group of college students on cancer awareness with Black African-American women and things that we need to look out for, how we are one of the greatest. We contract this cancer while we are the least to be diagnosed. We are dying at unprecedented numbers. It's a little bit better than it was some years ago. But just trying to bring, like you said, awareness is the key. I did a symposium on Wednesday. The other thing was on Thursday, but in the symposium, I told the young people, one of the things the presenter said, that we are the CEO of our bodies. That means we have to know, we have to be able to be that aware to determine if something is different. With the stage 4 cancer, what was happening was for a whole year, they were treating me for acid reflux. And I kept saying, something is wrong, until it got to the point where I couldn't breathe because the tumor was so big that it was lodged against my lungs. And that's when, there was this big alert, because they found it, and it was to a point where it had covered all of my major organs. That's how I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that I am here and still living, because God had purpose for me, because that thing was so big. They took 9 months to shrink it. Mm-hmm. And then when it shrunk, it was like a balloon. it had melted and it entrenched itself on all of my major organs. So they had to go in and cut it out. So they had to cut a part of my stomach. They had to take out my spleen. They had to cut a piece of my pancreas, a piece of my liver. And that's how it was, so I was down for a minute, but y'all, I tell people it was nothing but the grace of God. And so I tell them that you can live after cancer. I say this all the time, even as my shirt says, the devil whispered and said that, that you can't handle the storm. I said, I whispered back to the devil and said, I am the storm. So yes, I don't lay down for the enemy. I fight. And a lot of people who have part of this ministry, Elevate Church Tallahassee, they're going through some physical challenges, cancer, but I know he purposed me to bring life and hope to them, and when I pray, I believe change happens. So I thank God for that. And I have a daughter. So my first cancer was genetic. I told you, Daryl, my mom had it twice. My sister had it twice. And so I did the genetic testing and I have a BRCA gene. So now I'm not burying my head in the sand. This is one of the factors we talked about: mental health and cancer, genetics and cancer. And my daughter is going through a genetics test now, to make sure she doesn't have that gene. So it's a lot. But information is power. It's not so we can bury our heads, but it's so that we can lift up our head, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors.
Oh, yes.
So the King of Glory can come in. So that's my story.
Wow, what a powerful testimony there, man. I tell you, that's we've heard you talk about in Orlando at the family reunion, and you asked God for, I believe, what was that, 30 more years of pastoring?
He told me, y'all, I'm telling you, when they thought I had pancreatic cancer, the Lord spoke to me and said, I'm going to give you 30 years of ministry. He didn't say life. He said ministry. And that was at 50. I'm 58. That was at 54. So he said 30 years of ministry. So I'm thanking God for the 30 years of ministry, but for the additional years of life. Amen.
Oh, yes. You have to speak that into existence, man. What a powerful, powerful testimony, man. And we knew you had a powerful testimony to share with our viewers. And that's why we wanted you to be one of the panelists on here, man, because I know you've been through a lot, and you definitely don't look like what you've been through. None of us do.
And Tawanda, how did you feel when you first received the news?
The first time, I told you, I was like overwhelmed because, I had a 7-year-old daughter. She's my only daughter. And so I said, God, I want to see my baby grow up. you want to see her, you walk down the aisle, go to school, and all of these things. But again, I was armed with information. I knew that I was going to get a bilateral mastectomy, regardless of what they said, because like I said, I work for Social Security. I knew what it was, what it meant for that cancer to come back. At one time they said, save the Tatas, but they stopped saying save the Tatas because the Tatas was killing us because we were leaving them on.
That's right.
And so, we want to teach the African Americans about prophylactic measures, taking those prophylactic measures, utilizing them if you have this genetic component in your family, that it's okay to remove your breasts. It's okay if your hair falls out. I tell people, he took the breasts were gone. I said, but you can get some better ones.
That's right.
You don't have to wear no bra. You'll be good. You try to see that silver lining because, I said, these days, you don't even wear your real hair. Why you mad that it's coming out? Just get your weave on and just shaking it like it's yours anyway. So we have to share that glass half full and not half empty. I tell people because the glass is refillable. So keep on moving.
Keep on moving.
Very powerful.
Wow, what a powerful testimony. Angela, you up next. Come on and tell us. We know you have a testimony as well, and go ahead and share it with us.
All right. I was at the brink of my 44th birthday when I found out I had ovarian cancer. In November, the year before, around Thanksgiving time, I went into the hospital with excruciating stomach and pelvic pain, and they did all kind of tests on me and sent me home I think the day before Thanksgiving or the morning of Thanksgiving. I'm not quite sure. But either way, they sent me home eventually after 4 or 5 days in the hospital. They couldn't find anything. They sent me home with pain meds. May of the next year, 2014, I was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer. My doctor said had they done a transvaginal ultrasound, they would have found it in November when I was at the hospital. And that's the one test that they did not do, was the transvaginal ultrasound. So in May of 2014, it was stage 3C ovarian cancer. So death was staring me in my face and I didn't even know it. So I was working at a gynecologist's office at that time, and I was walking down the hallway, going back up to the front to get my next patient. And pain hit me so bad I fell to my knees and a tear just rolled down my face. And just so happened the doctor was walking behind me and she's like, Angela, what's wrong? And she helped me up. And I said, Doc, I got this excruciating pain. It hit me earlier today. And, you know, I just thought it was maybe a bad gas pain or something like that. I said, but this time it's worse. So she said, well, let me schedule you for a transvaginal ultrasound. I had already done my BRCA test and all that kind of stuff. And I do carry the genes for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. Now, my BRCA test showed breast cancer higher than ovarian cancer. So I was always scared of breast cancer. My mom died at 42 of breast cancer. So my mom was fairly young when she died of breast cancer. Everybody.
I think we lost Angela there for a second there. But hopefully she'll come back. Her internet looked like it went down on her. She's trying to reboot right now. You there, Angela? Oh, there she is right there.
Okay, so like I was saying, I did my BRCA test in a while before, and I knew I had the genes for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. The BRCA test showed much higher for breast cancer than ovarian cancer. And I was always afraid of breast cancer because my mom was 42 when she died of breast cancer. My sisters, her sisters and my great aunts and stuff, everybody and cousins and stuff had breast cancer. So I never thought ovarian cancer at all. So she said, well, let me set you up for a transvaginal ultrasound. Went in and found all kind of crazy stuff in there. And she said, I need to set you up for a gynecologist, oncologist. I need you to see her. She said, because she has some funky stuff going on and I need you to see her. So went to see the gynecologist, oncologist, went in and they found the stage 3C ovarian cancer. So lo and behold, was diagnosed with cancer, was in the hospital, and they took out 21 of my lymph nodes and all that kind of stuff. They took out my appendix because it was nearby where they found the cancer and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, what got me through? First of all, let me just back up a little bit. I was apprehensive, like we all are, to find out about cancer. So, but, I just prayed to God and I said, well, God, get me through this. I'm going to live and not die and declare the works of the Lord. So I just kept saying that. I kept saying that I'm healed by his stripes and everything. And I just kept that positive mind that I was going to live and not die, that I was going to be a living testimony to tell someone about this day. So here I am today. Thank God I'm alive, I'm well, cancer-free. It has been 2014 is now 2022. What is that, 9 years now? I think it's 9 years. Right. So I thank God for the year here, living testimony. But I was apprehensive at first. And but like I said, what got me through also was my grandkids. I would tell my kids, bring the kids over, bring the kids. I just wanted to see them play in their innocence, the innocence of little children. Them playing, it was like, no, guys, don't make so much noise. Mom is sick, she's not. Let those kids make noise. I wanted to hear them. I wanted to see them. They helped me get through a lot. Even though I was sick and everything, just to hear them and see them playing their innocence, it really helped me out a lot. I love hearing my grandchildren play and just their innocence. The innocence of the little kids just helped me get through. And there were nights when I cried a lot because I was in a lot of pain, excruciating pain from the chemo and like that. And there was plenty of times I would be in the emergency room getting Dilaudid and morphine to help with the pain and stuff like that. I have some lingering issues now from it, but I thank God I am here instead of 6 feet under, you know, testimony. Chemo was not my friend. I was sick all the time. I went through a lot with chemo. It was really not my friend. So, but I'm glad I'm here today to be a living testimony, to be a witness that God can do anything.
Anything.
He can deliver, he can set free. And I am a living testimony. And I just thank God for you guys inviting me to your podcast tonight. I appreciate for being here. And that is my testimony. I am a living testimony that God is able. He is real and he's still on the throne. He's still healing. He's still delivering. So whatever you're going through out there, if you're going through cancer right now or any other thing, trust in God and have a positive mind. It starts in the mind. What you have in your mind, then the rest of your body will follow. So keep a positive mind. Keep prayer. Keep God first in your life. Because if you go with a negative thought, oh, I'm not going to live, or this is this, and this negative thought, your body is going to follow that. So if you keep a positive mind, it starts in the mind. That's where the battle starts first, in your mind. Keep a positive mind and keep going. No matter what you feel, no matter what you're going through, no matter what aches and pains or whatever you're going through, keep that positive mind and keep pushing, keep going. No matter what you're going through, don't lay down and die. Right. And that's something you can do. No matter what pain I was in or no matter what I was going through, I kept going. I said, you know what? I don't care what pain I'm in. I'm going to get up. I'm going to clean my house. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get outside. I'm going to go places. I'm going to do things. I am not going to let this pain, nor this cancer, nor this chemo or anything define me. I kept living my life. And that's what you got to do. No matter what you're going through out there, live your life. Don't let what you're going through define you and keep a positive mind.
That's good.
Well, you certainly don't look like what you've been through. Just like I told Tawanda, man, and we talked many days when you were sick, and I, you know, Wayne and I found out you were sick and you were going to the hospital, we would always call you and check up on you, and just to make sure you are all right, because you've always been close to us. You will always be close to us. You know, you're just like family, and lo and behold, later when I went through it. When I tell you she called me all the time, she called faithfully to make sure I was all right before I had surgery, during when I was coming up to my surgery, and after. And you know, I thank God that you're still here. And like Tyrone, he's up next. Dr. Tyrone Gardner, he's our cousin. And he and I both had prostate cancer, and as you can see, we're both here and we're doing good. And cousin Ty, I'll let you go ahead and you share your testimony, and then I'll go up last, man, and I'll share mine as well.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, just I thank you all for having me a part of this podcast, and my sisters here. I appreciate the moving testimonies that y'all just gave. I mean, we could really end it right there because y'all have really delivered the message of the podcast. But like Daryl said, prostate cancer is the testimony that I'm here to talk about. And it's so different, with men, because as men, we don't like going to the doctor, we don't like getting checkups. Right. We got to do better. And what happened with me, I just caught my prostate cancer by chance, just a routine physical. My doctor, he noticed that my prostate was enlarged. So, we do the less invasive things first. You see maybe some antibiotics may affect it, may shrink it, maybe it's, we're not thinking cancer at first. But, we went through the steps and went through the process, ended up doing a biopsy. And of course, when you do the biopsy pretty much tells you what's going on within the cells of the prostate. So the good thing about mine, I caught it very early. I was 45. I'm actually 59 now. And my kids, they tease me, said, Dad, you'll be 60 next year. I'm like, well, don't say it like that. But, 59, what a great blessing. I was 45 when my prostate cancer was detected. And, 45 is a very young age for a man to be diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Yes.
But of course, as African Americans, prostate cancer seems to attract us at a much younger age. And so, and when I talk to young Black men, once you hit 40, you really need to be looking closely at what's going on with your body, not just your prostate, but your body, and particularly your prostate, because the prostate cancer is the most common cancer, with men outside of skin cancers and all. And I think with Black men, 1 in 6, it affects 1 in 6 Black men. So imagine that, but when I first got my diagnosis, it was heartbreaking, because, that word cancer is so devastating potentially. But then once you put it all in perspective, and like my sisters have said here, the cancer is never the controlling factor. The controlling factor is always God and the universe. So, I've always called on God, called on the universe to continue to have me in favor. And, my wife and I, we prayed about it, and, we got opinions and second opinions and third opinions on what to do once the cancer was discovered. And of course, there are 3 major things you can do. You can kind of watch it and see how it grows, keep a close watch on it. You can do surgery, and you can do radiation. So I elected to do surgery. So I think I discovered my cancer in May of 2008. And in December, I was in the surgery room. So once I made up my mind, I didn't waste any time. My cancer was a low-grade cancer. Actually, I wasn't on my deathbed, but I'm a future-thinking person, and I want to live. I want to live a long age. I want to be here for my kids, my family. I want to be here as long as I can. And so, I decided, well, let's go ahead and take care of this now, because, imagine going through life knowing that you got this cancer inside of you. Imagine the mental strain, the emotional strain, that just knowing that cancer is inside of you and you could do something about it. And, even when you're watching your prostate cancer, and you're not really doing anything or treating it, you still got that idea in your mind that, man, this thing could just take over my body, because, we don't control the cancer. The doctor may say that it's gonna, spread slowly, but we don't know. We really don't know. And so I didn't take a chance. I went ahead and had my surgery. It was a very successful surgery. I had a very a great surgeon that I trusted, and went to Emory University, had the surgery done. The recovery was difficult. The recovery was very difficult, and it took a while, to get back, to some level of normalcy. You don't get back perfectly, of course. Nothing in the universe is perfect, except God. But, you try to get back as close as you can to where you were, and of course you have some side effects that you learn to adjust to and all. But I'm just so thankful that, each year I have my PSA done. And, the PSA is that first sign of whether there's a possibility of some cancer, for men. And my PSA levels are always low where they're supposed to be. So I'm very thankful for that. And, right now I just try to live a prosperous life. I try to involve exercise in my life. I try to eat right. One of the things that we have to do, particularly as Black men and African Americans in general, we have to really concentrate on what we put in our bodies.
Bodies.
That's
You know,
true.
not the food, the drinks, the thoughts. Sister mentioned the thought, man. We have to make sure we think positive thoughts, because our thinking does control the rest of us. You know, just a whole bunch of negative thoughts can really, in my opinion, can enhance cancer. So we have to always think positive, and we also have to just continue to enjoy our life. We don't, like you say, we don't lay down. We don't give up. You know, we continue to fight and to live and to love. And as long as we can do those things, you know, we can deal with cancer, and you know, we can dominate the cancer and not having it dominate us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man.
Tyrone, besides the PSA test, were there any signs that led up to everything, to just going getting tested? Was there any signs?
With me, absolutely not. No symptoms. You know, like I said, I caught mine really early. It was considered a low-grade cancer. You know, they'll do what's called a Gleason score, which helps you to understand the aggressiveness of the cancer. So I had a Gleason score of 6, which is very low level. And I can't remember, my doctor told me like my cancer based on my Gleason score would double every so many years. And so, of course, you know, I was calculating my time. I'm like, okay, well, once I get in my upper 70s, there's a possibility that this cancer can take me out. So I hope to live way past upper 70s. You know, I want to live a long life.
Right.
And so I decided, you know, to go ahead at that time. Yeah, but no prior symptoms at all. Just a routine physical that detected an enlarged prostate. And from that point, you know, we start looking closer and closer and delving into what's causing this.
Okay.
And so many things that you said, you know, I went through myself with prostate cancer. And when I first found out that I had prostate cancer, you were one of the very first ones that I reached out to.
Mm-hmm.
And my father as well. And just like you stated, cancer runs in my family. My father had prostate cancer at the age of 58.
Father.
His father had prostate cancer. My uncle Casey had a little bout with prostate. I don't know if he had cancer, but he had some issues going on with his prostate. Your dad, Uncle Charlie,
Mm-hmm.
he had prostate cancer, and it just runs heavily in our family. And I'm glad. I thank God for my dad, because my dad has always been in my life. He and my mom, they're still together right now today. And he shared that knowledge with us. He said, make sure you go have your PSA checked, because cancer runs in our family. And I started having my PSA checked at the age of like 30, 37 or 38, faithfully, twice a year. Well, fast forward a few years down the road, and 2018, I went for my annual physical, and in January, there was nothing there. I went back for my follow-up in June. There was nothing there. My prostate was normal.
Mm-hmm.
But lo and behold, 6 months later, the devil attacked my body. I went for a routine checkup, and my PSA was out of range. The normal range is 0.0 to 4.0. And it shot up to like 7.3. So that was the first red flag. So my doctor called me. He said, you need to come into the office. And when they tell you to come in the office, that's not good, first of all. So I knew something was wrong. So when I got to the office, he said, you know, everything else was good with you. He said, but your PSA was out of range. And he said that could be early signs of prostate cancer. He said it could be some other things, you know, that could make your PSA go up, you know, but I want you to do a follow-up with your urologist. So I didn't tell my family at that time. I kind of waited for a week or two, because I really couldn't believe that, you know, I could have the possibility of going through cancer. But reality set in about a week or two later, and I set up an appointment to go to my urologist, and he did the biopsy, just like you said. Biopsy will tell you everything. They took 7 or 8 injection sites, cores, I believe that's what they call them. They took 7 or 8 samples, and about a week later, I went in for my results, and he came in and he said, Mr. Adams, how you doing? He says, I have some good news and some bad news. Which one do you want first? I said, well, give me the bad news. And he says, the bad news is you have cancer. And I kind of put my head down a little bit and didn't want to choke up or anything. I just looked down and I said a quick prayer and I said, well, what's the good news? He said, the good news is it's a non-aggressive cancer and it's stage 1. It's the earliest stage. And that's a blessing right there. Like if you've had cancer and if you have cancer or have had cancer in the past, you know that if you can catch it in stage 1, it's more treatable.
Yes. Yes.
So when he said that it was stage 1, I immediately said, what are my options? He said that you are so young. At the time I was 49, you were 45. I was 49 at the time. Mm-hmm. And he said that you're so young. He said, I don't want to see you gamble with your life. He said that I recommend that you have your prostate removed. He said 65% removal. And he said 35% radiation and chemo if you need that. So he said, but I don't recommend the radiation and chemo. He says, I don't recommend that. He says, I don't want to see you gamble with your life. And he says, I don't want to see, he said, I work in this field every day and I don't want to see you back in here 2-3 years from now. He said, because it'll come back much more aggressive. He said, don't gamble with your life. He says, if you have it removed, he says, you'll be okay. So this was in February and I had my surgery on July the 5th. And I was in there for 24 hours. I was very sore after the surgery. They did it robotically. They did the 7 with the 5 little holes, just like you had. And the recovery was, for me, it was difficult. Not very difficult, but it was an uphill battle. Like if you've gone through cancer, anytime you're dealing with cancer, it's an uphill battle. Mm-hmm. But with the grace of God, and I say that with the grace of God, I made it through it with your help and Angela's help. And I didn't get a chance to reach out to Tawanda at the time, but and my father, I made it through. Everything that you told me to expect, it was everything that I went through. Everything my father told me to expect, that's what I went through. You know, dealing with the catheter and everything, that was probably the most uncomfortable part for us men. And dealing with that for a week and just getting that out of the way. And, you know, just the advice I would give to people that's going through it right now is just, you know, after you have your surgery, is to stay hydrated, because I ended up back in the hospital because I got dehydrated and I started throwing up, and I had to go back to the hospital again for 3 days. And they gave me the IVs and everything. And I came home and I was okay. And I went back to visit my doctor about 2 weeks after that. And, you know, when they go in and remove your prostate, they take samples from that area and they send it out to the pathologist to have it tested. Mm-hmm. And nothing is confirmed until you get that pathology report back. So when I went back there, he said, well, I walked into the office and he said, are you ready? I said, yeah, I'm ready. Because I had already done prayed on this and everything. I had talked to my family, and I know I have a praying family. I know I have praying friends like Angela. I know I had this. So he sat there and he flipped through page by page, and he went through it and he went through it and he went through it. And he came to that second to the last page and he stopped. Or maybe that last page, and he stopped. And he looked up and he just gave me a blank stare. And I was like, oh Lord, what is he getting ready to tell me? And he said, how does it feel to be cancer free? And I said, thank you, Jesus. I said, it feels good to be cancer free right now. I said, it feels really good to be cancer free. He said, you nailed it. He says, he said, I can't find anything. He said, and the best thing that you ever did was to go to the doctor and keep having them test your PSA every 6 months. And that's the message that I share with people when I go around and I talk to people about, especially the men, about prostate cancer. Doctors, and we have to be mindful of this. Doctors are in this business to make money. They'll tell you, okay, well, I don't need to see you for another year. Well, you know, if you had cancer, for me, I don't even think about a year. You're going to see me in 6 months. So that's the message that I tell people. You're going to go to the doctor every 6 months. Your insurance will pay for a follow-up 6 months later. So that's my recommendation. I wouldn't say go back the year. It's good that you go back a year, but I'm saying just stay up on it. You know, if you could go 3-4 times a year, every time if you go have blood work done to your primary doctor, have them check your PSA, man. If you're watching this podcast right now, have them check your PSA 2, 3, 4 times a year. It could end up saving your life. It saved my life. It saved cousin Tyrone's life. We're 2 witnesses right here today that you can beat prostate cancer. You can beat it with grace and mercy on our side. Look at us. None of us look like what we've been through.
Amen.
None of us. And I know Wayne didn't have a whole lot of questions because when you haven't gone through cancer, he saw what I went through first and foremost, because I was here with him during my recovery. And there's some days that he had to help me up off of that couch there. I couldn't get up, you know, and he was right there with me every step of the way. So my family, you know, and my kids, and like Angela said, that family and that support system is very, very important. And some of my friends got mad at me because I didn't share it with them that I had cancer. But when you're going through cancer, you don't need people crying around you. You need strong people to uplift you. I don't want to see my friends and my family crying. You know, I'm like, I'm going to beat this. I got this. You know, God's got me, you know. So I didn't share it with them. But hey, I mean, I'm still here. You know, grace and mercy brought us all through, and we're still here, and we're living testimonies that you can beat cancer. And hey, I just thank you all, you know, for coming on the podcast and sharing your testimony and your stories.
Very powerful stories.
Very powerful stories that you all shared. And hopefully when this video, you know, reaches our channel, our YouTube channel, that people will watch it, you know, and share it 1 million times, 10 million times. Just share it. Hopefully someone will watch this video and learn something from this. And it might be somebody out there that says, you know, I'm not going to the doctor. I don't need to go to the doctor. Or, you know, I just don't want to go to the doctor or whatever. That's the worst thing you could ever say.
We hear that all the time.
From some people in the family.
They don't want to know.
I don't want to know. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good mindset to have. So again, I applaud you all for sharing your stories with us. And
I thank you all too.
Thank God that we're all still here, and he continues to bless us all with good health. And I hope to see you all here 50 years from now. And Tawanda, right, you're going to get that 30 years of ministry plus some, and then another 25 that you asked God for. And it's so good to see you all here alive and well.
Good to see all y'all on.
Yes. And I like for our cousin, Dr. Tawanda, to close us out in a prayer.
Anyone else have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, before she closes out in prayer. Anybody want to have anything else you want to say?
Just early detection.
Yes.
Early detection is the key.
Yes.
Before we go, you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, before we go, I'd just like to add some of the symptoms that I went through for ovarian cancer in case women are experiencing any of them. I was having low back pain. I was having bloating, my stomach area was getting so big, and I thought it was just, you know, mid-age weight gain around the stomach area. When they went in, my tumor was a 3-month size fetus, like a size of a 3-month fetus inside. So I was having low back pain, the bloating. I was gaining weight and stuff like that rapidly, and couldn't understand why. I thought it was just mid-age, you know, just gaining weight because of age and stuff like that. And I was also having leg pains. So leg pains, the bloating, and the back pain was what I was having. And then I started experiencing the pelvic and stomach pain. So if you're experiencing anything like that, go get checked out just to be on the safe side. And if you have anything as far as cancer in your family, genetic and stuff like that, make sure you're going to get tested and stuff like that. And like I said, I had the BRCA genes for breast and ovarian. So I also did a double mastectomy prophylactically to have my breast taken off and reconstructed. So that way I wouldn't wind up with breast cancer later on in life. So I did that as well. So, you know, so I could be on the safe side, you know, on that area too. So women, if you're experiencing any of these symptoms or anything, make sure you're going to get checked out, because it is serious. Because stage 3C, I would have never thought, you know, I would have been diagnosed with stage 3C. That's almost at stage 4, you know. The doctor told me that had I come to him any time later, that there was nothing that he would be able to do for me but treat me until I died.
Right.
So early detection is the key. Make sure going to the doctor. Make sure you're noticing things about your body with breast cancer and everything, because all it takes, you see this little bottle right here? All it takes is one of these, this size in your breast, a tumor this size in your breast, for it to be cancerous. So if you feel anything abnormal in your breast, the size of a little pea, make sure you're testing your breast, women, because all it takes is one little size tumor, the size of a pea, like what's in this bottle. You feel anything abnormal, go get tested, go get checked. All it takes is to continuously check your breast. When you're in the shower, check your breast after your monthly. Get tested, because these things are key. Early detection is key. You don't want to find out when it's too late. You want to find out when it's early. You have a better chance of living longer. You have a better chance of them, you know, curing you of the cancer. So, you know, when you wait too late, there's some people that don't make it.
That's right.
I could have been here today. So make sure you're going to the doctor. Make sure you're checking yourself. Any symptoms or abnormalities in your body, don't hesitate to go to the doctor and get checked out and see what's going on. Know your body.
Know your body.
And you know, and I can speak clearly for myself here of not having cancer. I saw what my dad went through and what my sister Marva died. She died of cancer 22 years ago. And I watched her suffer in the room with lesions on her. And ever since then, I watched my dad. And I know in our family, diabetes runs heavily. Prostate cancer. There was one more. Which one was it? One more runs in our family. I know it was
high blood pressure.
High blood pressure. So with me having insurance and paying all the money that I'm paying, any little ailment with me, I go to the doctor. But I can't lie, from just listening to testimonies like you all over the years from other people, just listening, any little ailment I get, the first thing running through my mind is it cancer. But the only thing you can do is continue to pray
and go
and
get
ask
checked.
God and get checked. I do that twice a year. When Daryl got cancer, he would always, you know, he was an orator for just telling people. And I was like, I've been doing this for years. I have. And I just, like everyone said, I wish more of us would take that and just go get tested at least 2-3 times a year, at least quarterly.
Right. And I'd like to dedicate this podcast to all of the survivors and, more importantly, the people out there that's fighting right now. And I think we would all agree that we just don't give up. Have faith in God. Surround yourself with positive people and your family that loves you. And you have to think in your mind. You have not to think in your mind. You have to know in your mind that you're going to beat cancer. So I want to dedicate this podcast to my sister, late sister Marva Johnson Adams, and one of my best friends, Brian Bailey. He just passed away a few months ago of cancer, and my aunt Dorothy Bell. She died of cancer as well. So I want to dedicate this to my fallen family members and my best friend
And all y'all.
and all of you.
All of you.
Thank you for sharing your powerful testimonies. And Dr. Tawana Davila Davis, our beautiful cousin, close us out on a nice prayer, please.
Father, we are so grateful. We thank you for these two young men who thought it not robbery to give us this opportunity to empower our minds, because you empower our spirit. So God, help us to utilize and be wise even as we build your kingdom. God, I thank you even now that you will cover each of us, cover us with the blood of Jesus. Dr. Ty, God, our sister Angela, myself, and Daryl. God, cover us and every other survivor. God, bless our household. We cancel the assignment of the enemy even now. God, that no weapon formed against us will prosper. God, I thank you that even if the attack or any attack should come, that you will embolden us to open our mouths and give you praise and allow our praise to be the garrison that we can be to be able to fight against the enemy. God, we thank you even now that we are healed by your stripes. As Sister Angela said, that we are forced in the name of Jesus. God, I thank you now that you will protect us from the hand of the enemy. Keep us from slipping, tripping, stumbling, or falling against this vicious enemy of cancer in the name of Jesus. Protect our family, our loved ones. God, I thank you even as Daryl prayed and gave thanks for his sister Marva and his best friend. God, I thank you that you will protect their families and cover them. God, let them have the good memories of who they were and them standing in the power of your might. God, I thank you now. Allow resources to come into this podcast. Allow them to get the fellowship so that they can carry your message from the north, south, the east, and the west, not just in awareness of sickness and disease, but God, in the empowerment of who you are to each of us. So tonight we give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. We want to thank you all again for sharing your powerful testimonies. And thank you, Tawanda, for closing us out with that powerful prayer. And we wish you all continued success, and more importantly, good health and happiness for the rest of this year and for years and years and years to come. I wish you all good
And
health.
I love all
happiness.
y'all.
Love you all.
All y'all.
And thank you for coming on the podcast. It'll be available here for you all to see a little bit later on. Thank you all very much and have a blessed evening.
Thank you.